I went to check on my wife on her first working day at our son-in-law's company. Walked in, and there she was, on her knees, wiping his shoes with the sleeve of her sweater. The moment he saw me, our son-in-law smirked and said, "That's all she's good for." I silently lifted my wife off the floor, took off my expensive watch, and did something he never saw coming. His face changed instantly, but it was already too late. Before continuing, subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is in your region right now. My name is Frank Coleman. I'm 68 years old, and I've spent the last 40 years learning how insurance companies work from the inside. Not as a claims adjuster running around with a clipboard, as a senior insurance adjuster who understood the language of risk, the mathematics of liability, the fine print that most people never read. Now I consult for the Oregon Insurance Division, but that's getting ahead of myself. I live in Portland with my wife, Sandra. We've been married 42 years. Met her in the public library on a rainy Tuesday afternoon. I was there looking for a book on mechanical watches. She was shelving returns in the history section. She had this way of moving, quiet and precise, like every gesture had purpose. When she looked up and smiled at me, I forgot what I came for. Took me 3 visits to work up the courage to ask her to coffee. Best decision I ever made. Sandra's the calm to my storm. She spent 30 years as a school librarian, teaching kids that information is power if you know how to find it. Now she spends her time tracing family trees, connecting dots between names and dates that most people think are lost to history. She can find anyone, anything, if she sets her mind to it. And when Sandra sets her mind to something, it gets done. We have one daughter, Kimberly, 32 years old, smart as hell with her mother's eyes and my stubborn streak. 2 years ago, she brought home Roger Stanley. Young, ambitious, successful, owns a commercial real estate development company called Stanley Development Group, builds office parks and shopping centers. At first, I liked him. He was attentive to Kimberly, talked about his business with passion, asked good questions about my work. The wedding cost us $47,000, nearly everything Sandra and I had saved. We didn't mind. Kimberly deserved a beautiful day, and Roger's wealthy father wasn't contributing a dime. Let them prove they can stand on their own, he'd said, cold bastard. But something shifted after the wedding. Roger started making comments, little jabs wrapped in smiles. "Frank, still fixing those old watches. Must be nice having hobbies you can afford. Sandra, you're looking well. Retirement suits you. Not everyone can pull off the casual look." Kimberly laughed along, or maybe she just stopped defending us. Hard to tell which was worse. The breaking point came 3 months ago. We met for dinner at a nice restaurant downtown, Roger's choice, of course. He ordered wine without looking at the price, talked loudly about a deal he'd just closed worth $3 million. When the waiter came to take our order, Roger waved his hand dismissively in our direction. "Don't bother bringing them menus," he said, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. "They'll take something from the cheaper options. Right, Frank? Have to watch the budget at your age?" The waiter's face went red. Kimberly studied her napkin. Sandra's hand found mine under the table, her fingers squeezing once, a signal we'd developed over decades. "Not now, love. Not here." I smiled at the waiter. "Actually, I'll have the ribeye, medium rare, and bring me your wine list." Roger's smile faltered for just a second, but he recovered, laughing it off like it was all a joke. We didn't speak much during that meal. Sandra barely touched her food. On the drive home, she stared out the window. Quiet. "He's getting worse," she finally said. "I know. Kimberly's changing. I know that too." We didn't talk about what to do. Not yet, but something had been set in motion. The next week, Sandra's phone buzzed during breakfast. A text from Kimberly. Sandra read it aloud. "Mom, Roger has a job opportunity for you. He wants to help. Can you come to his office tomorrow at 9 a.m.? She looked at me over her coffee cup. "Help," she repeated, her voice flat. I knew that tone. Sandra didn't believe it either, but we both knew she'd go. "Want me to come with you?" I asked. She shook her head. "Let's see what he's offering first." That night, I went out to my workshop in the garage. Rows of old mechanical watches lined the shelves. My hobby, my meditation. I picked up a 1952 Omega I'd been restoring. felt the weight of it, the precision of gears that had outlasted their makers. Roger thought we were weak because we were old. He thought being 68 meant being powerless. He had no idea what 40 years in the insurance industry teaches you about power. Real power isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself at dinner parties. Real power is knowing exactly which domino to push to make the whole tower fall. I set the watch down and pulled out my old contact book. Hundreds of names. Underwriters, inspectors, compliance officers, people who owed me favors. I didn't know what Roger's job opportunity would be, but I had a feeling we'd need these contacts soon. Sandra came to the workshop door. "What are you doing?" I held up the contact book. "Research." She studied me for a long moment, then nodded. She understood. After 42 years, she always understood. "Tomorrow," she said, "I'll see what he wants. Then we'll know what we're dealing with." And then she smiled. Not her warm librarian smile. Something colder. Then we decide what to do about it. Sandra came home from Roger's office just after noon. I was in the kitchen when I heard her car pull into the driveway. The engine shut off, but she didn't get out right away. I watched through the window as she sat there, hands on the steering wheel, staring straight ahead. That's when I knew it was bad. She finally came inside, set her purse down carefully on the counter. Her movements were too controlled, too precise. Sandra only got that careful when she was holding something back. "So?" I asked. "What's the job?" "Office assistant." Her voice was steady. $15 an hour. I waited. There had to be more. He took me to a supply closet, showed me where they keep the cleaning supplies, the coffee, the printer paper, said I'd be helping around the office, making things run smoothly. "Sandra." He wants me to fetch coffee for his staff meetings, sort mail, clean up conference rooms after they're done. She met my eyes. He never once used the word janitor, but that's what it is, Frank. He's hiring me as a janitor. The anger hit me like a wave. "You have 2 degrees. You ran a library for 30 years. I know what I have." She sat down at the kitchen table, folded her hands. I told him yes. "What?" "We need the money, Frank. The wedding took almost everything. Our savings are down to $8,000, and I'm 64. You think anyone else is going to hire me?" I wanted to argue, wanted to tell her we'd figure something else out. But she was right, and we both knew it. "This isn't about money," I said. "This is about control. He wants to humiliate you." "I know," she looked up at me, "but maybe that's useful." I sat down across from her. "Useful how?" "If I'm there, inside his company, I can see things, learn things." She pulled out her phone, opened a notes app. While I was waiting in reception, I took photos of the company directory on the wall. I've already started researching his staff, his business partners. That's my Sandra. Always 3 steps ahead. "What did you find?" "His company has 6 active insurance policies totaling $8.2 million. I checked the public filings. They're all up for renewal next month." She showed me her phone. "Liberty Mutual, Travelers, Hartford, big carriers." I felt something click into place. Insurance renewals. My specialty. "You're thinking we hit him where he's vulnerable." "I'm thinking," Sandra said carefully, "that if someone wanted to cause problems for Roger's business, insurance would be the place to start. Companies like his need coverage to operate. Banks won't loan money without it. Contractors won't work on projects without proof of insurance." She was right. Take away Roger's insurance, and his whole operation collapses. "It would have to be done carefully," I said. "Legally." "Of course." Sandra's smile was sharp. "We're not criminals, Frank. We're just people who understand how systems work." We sat there for a long moment, the weight of what we were considering settling between us. "This could destroy him," I said finally. "He made me a janitor to prove a point. What point are we going to prove?" I thought about Roger's smug face at that dinner, the way he'd dismissed us like we were nothing, the way Kimberly had let him. "That you don't humiliate people who know how to fight back," Sandra nodded. "But we have to be smart, patient. This can't look like revenge." "It won't." I stood up, went to my workshop, came back with my old contact book, opened it to the S section. Veronica Sims, Senior Inspector at the Oregon Insurance Division. We worked together for 15 years. I helped her son get into college when he was struggling. She owes me. You'd use that? To protect you? In a heartbeat. I flipped through more pages. I've got connections at OSHA, the Building Codes Division, half a dozen insurance carriers. None of them will do anything illegal. But if the right concerns were raised through proper channels, audits would follow, Sandra finished. Investigations. Reviews. Exactly. And if Roger's been cutting corners, and guys like him always cut corners, they'll find it. Sandra pulled her laptop over and started typing. I'll document everything I see while I'm there. Every shortcut, every violation, every angry employee. You feed that information through your contacts, as anonymous concerns from worried citizens. Death by 1,000 paper cuts, I said. Death by proper regulatory procedure, she corrected. We spent the next 2 hours planning. Sandra would start work the following Monday. She'd keep her head down, be invisible, and collect information. I'd start making quiet calls to old colleagues, asking general questions about commercial development, insurance compliance, safety regulations. Nothing aggressive, nothing traceable. Just two old people who knew how bureaucracy worked and weren't afraid to use it. Around 8 that evening, Kimberly called Sandra's phone. We let it ring twice before Sandra answered. Mom, did you take the job? Roger said you seemed grateful. Sandra's jaw tightened, but her voice stayed warm. Yes, honey. It's good to have something to do. That's wonderful. Roger really wanted to help you and Dad out. He knows things have been tight. After she hung up, Sandra set the phone down carefully. She has no idea, Sandra said quietly. She actually believes he's being generous. She'll figure it out eventually. Will she? Sandra looked at me. Or will she keep choosing him? I didn't have an answer for that, but I reached across the table and took her hand. We're doing this? I asked. She nodded. Together? Always together, I said. That night, I couldn't sleep. I went back to my workshop and picked up my Rolex Submariner, a gift from Pacific Insurance Group when I retired after 40 years. Worth about $45,000. I'd never sell it. It represented everything I'd built, every hour I'd worked. I held it up to the light, watching the second hand sweep smoothly around the dial. Precise, methodical, unstoppable, just like what we were about to do to Roger Stanley. Sandra appeared in the doorway, wrapped in her robe. Can't sleep either? She asked. Just thinking. She came over, rested her head on my shoulder. We're really doing this? We are. No going back after we start. I know. She was quiet for a moment. Then, good. We stood there together in the workshop, surrounded by old watches and older memories. Tomorrow, Sandra would walk into Roger's office as a janitor, but that was just the beginning. Roger Stanley thought he'd won, thought he'd put us in our place. He had no idea the war had just started. Sandra's first week at Stanley Development Group was exactly what you'd expect from a man like Roger, designed to humiliate. She came home every evening exhausted, not from the work itself. Sorting mail and wiping down conference tables isn't exactly backbreaking labor, but from holding herself together, while Roger's staff pretended not to see her, while his assistant, Erica Vanessa, asked her to refill the coffee pot 3 times in an hour just because she could. On the third night, I found Sandra in our bedroom, sitting on the edge of the bed, still in her work clothes. Her shoulders shook. No sound, just silent tears. I sat beside her and pulled her close. We can stop this any time. She shook her head against my chest. No, I need to be there. You'll see why. The next morning, Sandra came to breakfast with her laptop and a folder thick with printouts. Her eyes were clear, focused. Look at this, she said, spreading documents across the kitchen table. I found something interesting yesterday while emptying Erica's trash. I leaned in. Construction permits, building inspection reports, insurance claim forms. These projects, Sandra pointed to 3 different developments, all had worker complaints filed last year, OSHA complaints, but Roger settled them privately before they became official records. How do you know that? Because I cross-referenced the project timelines with state labor board filings. She pulled up a spreadsheet. See these gaps? 3 separate incidents, all handled with cash payments and NDAs. Nothing illegal, technically, but insurance companies hate gaps in safety records. I finished. They want to see everything, even stuff that was settled. Sandra nodded. And if they don't know about incidents because they were hidden, that's incomplete disclosure. Grounds for policy review. I felt something shift in my chest. Pride, admiration. My wife, the librarian, had just found Roger's first vulnerability. Sandra, this is brilliant. I also took photos of his contractor agreements. She showed me her phone. Notice anything? I squinted at the small text. He's listing lower square footage on some buildings than what's actually being constructed, which means his insurance coverage is based on incorrect information. If there's ever a claim, they'll discover the discrepancy. I sat back, processing. You found all this in 3 days? 4, she corrected with a small smile. I'm just the janitor, Frank. No one notices me. I'm invisible. That evening I made my first call. Nothing dramatic, just a casual conversation with an old colleague at Liberty Mutual, one of Roger's carriers. Hey, Marcus. Frank Coleman. Yeah, been a while. Listen, I'm doing some consulting work, looking at commercial development coverage in Portland. You still handle those accounts? The Stanley Development Group. Sure, I've heard of them. Young guy, ambitious. How's his risk profile? Really? That low? Interesting? When I hung up, Sandra looked at me over her reading glasses. Well? Roger's been skating by on minimal premiums because his safety record looks clean. Marcus said he's been with them for 3 years, never filed a major claim, never had a safety incident. Never had one reported, you mean? Sandra said. Exactly. We worked like that for the next week. Sandra gathering information from inside the company, me making quiet inquiries with people in the industry. We didn't push, didn't accuse, just asked questions, gathered data. Meanwhile, Roger got worse. Sandra came home the following Wednesday and dropped her purse on the counter harder than usual. Board meeting today, she said flatly. 20 people in the conference room. Roger introduced me to a new investor. And he called me our little cleaning lady. Said I used to be a librarian, but decided this was a better fit for my skill set. Everyone laughed. My hands clenched. Sandra? I smiled. She continued, her voice steady. Nodded. Brought them more coffee. And while I was refilling cups, I overheard Roger telling the investor about his expansion plans. A new commercial complex in Beaverton. $42 million project. She pulled out her phone, showed me a voice memo. She'd recorded the entire conversation. He admitted they're front-loading the cheaper materials to keep costs down during inspection, then switching to the budget options afterward. The investor loved it, called it smart business. That's fraud. That's Roger, Sandra corrected. But here's the important part. He mentioned the project is already insured, based on the original specifications, the ones calling for higher-grade materials. I whistled low. If there's ever a claim and the insurance adjusters find out he substituted materials. Policy voided. Claims denied. Sandra closed her phone. Frank, he's not just cutting corners. He's building his entire business on lies. That night, we sat at the kitchen table with coffee and Sandra's laptop. I had my old contact book open. Insurance companies have a term for guys like Roger, I said. High-risk operators. They look good on paper, but dig deeper, and it's all shortcuts and half-truths. So how do we make them dig deeper? I thought about it. Red flags, small things that trigger automatic reviews, a safety complaint here, a permit discrepancy there. Nothing we fabricate, just things we help surface, things that are already true. Sandra was quiet for a moment. Then, there's a security guard in Roger's building, Zachary Price, head of security. He's been kind to me. Yesterday, when Erica made me re-clean a conference room I'd already cleaned, Zachary told her to back off. You trust him? I think he sees what's happening, and I think he's tired of watching Roger treat people like garbage. I nodded slowly. An ally. Someone on the inside who wasn't us. Useful. Frank. Sandra closed her laptop and looked at me. Really looked at me. Once we start this, Roger will know someone's after him. He might figure out it's us. Let him figure it out. By then it'll be too late. She reached across the table, took my hand. I just need to know you're sure. That we're sure. I thought about Roger's smug face at that restaurant, the way he'd dismissed us, humiliated Sandra, turned our daughter against us. I thought about how he'd looked at my wife like she was nothing. I'm sure, I said. Good. Sandra squeezed my hand. Because I got his complete insurance file today. Every policy, every carrier, every coverage detail. It was in Erica's desk drawer when I was cleaning her office. I stared at her. You stole his insurance file? I photographed it, she corrected primly. Very different. And tomorrow I'm meeting Zachary for coffee before work. He asked me how I was holding up. I think it's time to tell him the truth, that I'm documenting everything I see, just in case I ever need it. My wife? My brilliant, terrifying wife? One more thing, I said. Tomorrow I'm calling Veronica Sims, officially. Time to start asking the right questions in the right places. Sandra nodded. We sat there in the quiet kitchen, holding hands across old coffee cups and conspiracy. The next afternoon, Zachary Price approached Sandra as she was leaving work. I know because she told me about it that evening, her eyes bright with something I hadn't seen in weeks. Hope. Mrs. Coleman, he'd said quietly, looking around to make sure no one was listening. What he's doing to you, it's not right. If you ever need anything at all, I'm here. Sandra had smiled at him. Thank you, Zachary. That means more than you know. I mean it. I've worked security for 15 years. I know when someone's being abused, and I know when someone's planning something. He looked at her carefully. Whatever you're doing, whatever you need, I'm on your side. That night, Sandra and I sat in my workshop. I was cleaning an old Omega. She was reviewing her notes. Zachary knows, she said. And he's with us. She looked up. Frank, we have an ally inside of Roger's building. Someone who sees everything, who has access to security footage, who can verify what happens. Someone who can be a witness, I said slowly. Exactly. I set down the watch. Then it's time. Tomorrow I make the calls. Real calls. We start applying pressure. Sandra closed her notebook. How long do you think it'll take? To destroy him? I smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. Insurance moves slow, but once it starts moving, it doesn't stop. 6 months, maybe less. That's a long time to watch him parade around like he's untouchable. He won't be parading for long, I promised. Trust me. She did. After 42 years, she always did. 3 weeks after Sandra started working for Roger, I came to visit her at lunch. That's what I told myself anyway. Bring my wife a sandwich, see how she's doing, maybe take her for a walk. The truth? I hadn't seen her in person at that office, hadn't witnessed what she was enduring. Part of me needed to see it with my own eyes before I could really commit to what we were planning. I walked into the glass building on Southwest Broadway, carrying a paper bag with 2 sandwiches from Sandra's favorite deli. The lobby was all marble and chrome, expensive art on the walls. Roger's company logo dominated the reception desk. I'm here to see Sandra Coleman, I told the receptionist. She looked confused. I don't think we have anyone by that. She works here, office assistant. Understanding dawned. Oh, the cleaning lady. I think she's upstairs. 3rd floor. Cleaning lady. I swallowed my anger and headed for the elevator. The 3rd floor was an open layout, glass-walled offices surrounding a central workspace. I spotted Sandra immediately. She was on her knees beside a desk, unplugging a paper shredder, her gray hair coming loose from its clip. Then I saw Roger's office. Glass walls, corner position overlooking the city, and through those transparent walls, I saw him. Roger, sitting in his leather chair, leaning back like a king on his throne, and at his feet, on her knees, Sandra, polishing his shoes, using the sleeve of her cardigan to buff black leather dress shoes, while he talked on his phone, not even looking at her. Standing behind him was Erica, his assistant, holding up her cell phone. Recording. Everything went red at the edges. I crossed the floor in 6 strides, pushed open Roger's office door. The glass rattled. Roger looked up, saw me, and smiled. Frank? Perfect timing. Look at the great work Sandra's doing. Really found her calling, wouldn't you say? I didn't answer, just walked to my wife, bent down, and gently helped her stand. Her hands were shaking. Her eyes met mine, humiliated, furious, fighting tears. Let's go, I said quietly. Wait. Roger stood, laughing. Don't be sensitive. She's just... I turned to look at him. He stopped talking. Something in my face must have warned him. Very slowly, very deliberately, I reached up and unclasped my Rolex Submariner, $45,000 on my wrist. A gift from Pacific Insurance Group when I retired. The single most valuable thing I owned. Roger's eyes widened. He thought I was going to give it to him, some kind of pathetic offering to make him stop humiliating my wife. Instead, I walked to where Erica stood with her phone. She flinched back as I approached. "Delete it," I said. What? "The video. Delete it. Now." She looked at Roger. He shrugged. Let him have his little moment. Erica deleted the video while I watched. Then I turned and walked to the door, where I could see Zachary Price standing in the corridor. He'd heard the commotion. His face was tight with anger. Not at me, at Roger. I handed him the watch. "Mr. Price," I said clearly, loud enough for Roger to hear, "I need you to hold on to this for me. Don't sell it. Don't pawn it. Just keep it safe. When the time comes, you'll be a witness to what happened here today. Remember the date. Remember the time. Remember what you saw through these glass walls." Zachary took the watch, his eyes widening as he felt the weight of it, recognized the value. "Mr. Coleman, I can't." "Yes, you can. You're an honest man, Zachary. I trust you with this, and I trust you to remember." He nodded slowly. "I'll remember everything." I turned back to Roger. He was standing now, confused, angry. "Are you insane, old man? That's your only valuable possession. You just gave it to—" He felt sorry for her, I said, cutting him off. My voice was calm, flat. "That security guard you don't even know the name of. He felt sorry for my wife. He saw what you made her do, and it bothered him. But you felt nothing. And that tells me everything I need to know about you, Roger." I took Sandra's hand and walked her out of that office. Roger shouted something behind us, something about my stupidity, about being broke, about knowing our place. I didn't listen. In the elevator, Sandra finally spoke. "Frank, your watch. That watch was—" "Worth less than your dignity," I said firmly. "We're done, Sandra. You're not going back there. He'll fire me." "Good." We drove home in silence. Sandra stared out the window, processing. I gripped the steering wheel, my wrist feeling naked without the familiar weight of the watch. When we got home, Sandra went straight to the bathroom. I heard the shower running for a long time. She emerged an hour later in clean clothes, her hair wet, her face composed. She sat down at the kitchen table where I was waiting with tea. "What did we just do?" she asked quietly. I looked at her. My wife of 42 years, the strongest person I knew. "We started a war," I said. "One he's going to lose." "With what?" "We have $8,000 in savings. No leverage, no power." I pulled out my phone and showed her the text I'd received 20 minutes earlier. From Zachary. It was a photo, the Rolex sitting on his desk, and below it, "I remember everything. I'm ready to testify when you need me. ZP." "We have a witness," I said. "We have documentation. We have Roger's insurance files that you photographed. We have recordings of him admitting to fraud. We have a list of unreported safety incidents. And we have 40 years of contacts in an industry that Roger depends on completely." Sandra stared at the phone, then at me. "We have a plan," she said slowly. "We have a plan." That night, we didn't sleep. We sat at the kitchen table and built our strategy. Sandra organized all the evidence she'd gathered. Photos, recordings, documents. I made a list of every contact I had who could help. Building inspectors, OSHA officials, insurance underwriters, compliance officers. "We can't do anything illegal," Sandra said firmly. "We won't. Everything we do will be by the book." Anonymous complaints through proper channels. Routine inspections triggered by legitimate concerns. Standard audits that happen to find what's already there. Death by 1,000 paper cuts. Death by proper regulatory procedure, I corrected with a grim smile. Around 2 a.m, Sandra's phone buzzed. A text from Roger. "You're fired. Don't come back." She showed it to me. I nodded. "Good. Now you're free to work full-time on this." "Frank." She put down her phone and looked at me seriously. "Are you absolutely certain? Once we start, there's no going back. We're going to destroy our son-in-law's business. Our daughter will hate us." "Our daughter already barely talks to us." And Roger did this to himself. "We're just making sure the truth comes out. Through very specific channels, at very specific times." "He made my wife clean his shoes," I said quietly. He recorded it to humiliate you, to humiliate us. I want him to understand what happens when you underestimate people because they're old, because they don't have money, because they seem powerless. Sandra reached across the table and took my hand. Then let's show him what power really looks like. The next morning, I made my first official call to Veronica Sims at the Oregon Insurance Division. Veronica, it's Frank Coleman. I need a favor. Professional consultation on a compliance matter. No, nothing urgent. Just want to understand the protocol for reporting potential insurance documentation irregularities. Hypothetically, a commercial developer who might not be fully disclosing safety incidents to their carriers. Right? Exactly. Anonymous tip line. I remember. And if someone submitted a concern, what would the process be? When I hung up, Sandra was watching me from the doorway. It started, I said. Good, she replied, and she meant it. That afternoon, we went for a walk, needed to clear our heads, process what we'd put in motion. We ended up at our favorite coffee shop on 3rd Avenue, sitting by the window with lattes we couldn't really afford. Do you think Kimberly will forgive us? Sandra asked quietly. Eventually, when she sees who Roger really is. And if she doesn't? I thought about that. Our daughter, who we'd raised, loved, supported through everything, who now barely spoke to us because her husband had convinced her we were the problem. Then we lose her for a while, I said, but we don't lose ourselves. We don't accept being treated like garbage just to keep peace with someone who doesn't respect us anyway. Sandra nodded, sipped her coffee. I'm scared. Me too. But I'm also angry. Angrier than I've been in years. Good, I said. Let's use that. We went home and spent the rest of the day documenting everything, creating a timeline, organizing evidence, building the case that we'd feed, piece by careful piece, into the machinery of bureaucracy that Roger depended on. Insurance companies, building inspectors, OSHA, the Oregon Insurance Division, banks, investors. All Roger had to do was follow the rules, be honest, treat people decently, but he hadn't, and now that debt was coming due. Sandra closed her laptop around midnight, looked at me across the kitchen table, surrounded by papers and plans. No going back now, she said. No going back, I agreed. She smiled. It wasn't her warm librarian smile. It was something colder, sharper. He has no idea what's coming. I thought about Roger, sitting in his glass office, probably laughing about the crazy old man who gave away his watch, probably telling Kimberly about her pathetic parents, probably already forgetting about us. No, I said, he really doesn't. The text came the next morning. Roger, of course. Not even a phone call, just a message at 7 a.m. Don't come back. Sandra showed me her phone over breakfast. I expected anger, maybe tears. Instead, she smiled. Good, she said. Now we can work full time. We spent the next 2 days at our kitchen table like generals planning a campaign. Sandra had her laptop, printouts spread everywhere. I had my contact book and a legal pad covered in notes. Tell me again how this works, Sandra said, studying the organizational chart she'd created of Roger's business. I pulled up the Oregon Building Codes Division website. Every construction project needs permits. Those permits have to be renewed, inspected, verified. If someone files a complaint, anonymous through their online form, it triggers an automatic inspection. And you found violations in the documents I photographed? 3 projects with expired permits, 2 with discrepancies between filed plans and actual construction. Roger's been cutting corners, gambling that nobody would check. I tapped the screen. Someone just needs to point them in the right direction. Sandra nodded slowly. And insurance companies get notified of building code violations? Automatically. It's part of the risk assessment database. I smiled. One little complaint, properly filed, starts a chain reaction. So we file the complaint. You file it. Different computer, different location. You'll go to the library downtown, use their public terminal. Untraceable. We worked out every detail. Which projects to target first. How to word the complaints to sound like concerned citizens, not personal vendettas. The exact sequence to maximize pressure on Roger's insurance policies. Around midnight, Sandra closed her laptop and looked at me. Frank, once we do this, there's no taking it back. I know. Roger will lose money, possibly a lot of money. Good, She reached across the table, took my hand. I need to hear you say it. That you're absolutely certain. I thought about Sandra on her knees, polishing Roger's shoes, about the smug smile on his face, about our daughter who barely spoke to us anymore because her husband had convinced her we were worthless. He humiliated you, I said quietly, in front of his staff, on purpose, because he thought we were too old and too poor to fight back. I'm certain, Sandra. More certain than I've been about anything in years. She squeezed my hand. Then let's begin. The next morning, Sandra drove to the Central Library. I stayed home, my role coming later. She was gone for 2 hours. When she returned, she was smiling. Filed, she said simply. 3 separate complaints, 3 different projects. All anonymous, all properly formatted, all completely legitimate. Timeline? The website says inspections typically occur within 7 to 10 business days of filing. Perfect. I picked up my phone. My turn. I called Marcus first, my old colleague at Oregon OSHA. We'd worked together on a major case 15 years ago. He owed me. Marcus, Frank Coleman, how are you? Good, good. Listen, I've been consulting on some safety issues in commercial development, and something came across my desk that concerns me. There's a site on SE Division Street, Stanley Development Group, and I'm hearing rumors about safety shortcuts. Nothing confirmed, but, well, you know how these things can escalate if nobody checks. No formal complaint, just a professional heads up. Thought you'd want to know. Yeah, thanks, Marcus. Stay safe. I hung up. Sandra was watching from the doorway. He'll investigate. He'll send an inspector within the week. Marcus doesn't mess around with safety violations. And if they find something? When they find something, I corrected, it goes into the state database, which insurance companies monitor, which triggers risk assessments, which leads to premium increases or policy reviews. Sandra came and sat beside me. It's really starting. It really is. The inspection happened faster than expected. 6 days later, on a Tuesday morning, Oregon Building Codes Division showed up at Rogers SE Division Street project unannounced. I know because Zachary called me. Mr. Coleman, his voice was low, excited. City inspectors just left the building. Roger's been on the phone for an hour yelling at someone. I've never seen him this rattled. What did they find? I heard him tell Erica they're citing him for 3 permit violations and ordering work stopped until he corrects them. Something about a fine, too. I felt something warm in my chest. Satisfaction. Thank you, Zachary. Keep me posted? Always. The fine was $8,500. Small enough that Roger probably just paid it and moved on. But the violation went into the system, into databases, into risk assessment algorithms that insurance companies use to evaluate their clients. Roger had no idea what that small violation would cost him. 2 days later, I made my second call, to James at OSHA. Frank, been ages. How's retirement? Consulting? Good for you. Hey, I've got a concern. You know Stanley Development Group? Yeah, that's them. I've been hearing from some workers, off the record, about safety issues at their sites. PPE not being provided, scaffolding concerns, that kind of thing. Probably nothing, but with those building code violations they just got hit with, thought someone should take a look. No, anonymous sources. Can't say more. Just wanted to flag it for you. James promised to send someone out. That weekend, Sandra and I took a drive. Ended up at our favorite coffee shop on 3rd Avenue, sitting by the window with expensive lattes we couldn't really afford, celebrating small victories. He doesn't know yet, Sandra said quietly. Doesn't realize what's happening. He will. When the OSHA inspection happens, when his insurance renewal comes up, when the penalties start adding up. Will it be enough? I thought about that. It's not about the money, Sandra. It's about him realizing that actions have consequences, that you can't treat people like garbage and face no repercussions. She sipped her coffee. Our daughter called yesterday. I set down my cup. And? She screamed at me for 10 minutes. Roger told her I sabotaged his business, that I stole confidential documents, that I'm trying to ruin him out of spite. What did you say? I told her I cleaned his offices for 3 weeks. That's all. I cleaned, and I observed, and if I happened to see things that concern me, well, that's not sabotage. That's just being observant. Sandra's smile was cold. She hung up on me. I reached across the table, took her hand. She'll understand eventually. Maybe, or maybe we lose her. Then we lose her with our dignity intact. My phone buzzed. Text from Zachary. OSHA here, 2 inspectors. Roger's losing his mind. I showed Sandra. She read it, nodded. How long before results? She asked. 2 weeks, maybe 3. Then they'll issue citations if they found violations. And they'll find violations. Oh yes, I said, because Roger's been cutting corners for years. He just never had anyone looking closely enough to catch him. The OSHA report came back 18 days later. Zachary sent me a photo of the citation notice that had been posted at the site. 7 safety violations, 4 serious, 3 moderate. Total fines, $34,000. Required corrective actions before work could resume. I called Veronica Sims that evening. V, it's Frank. How are you? Good, good. Listen, I wanted to pick your brain about something. Hypothetically, if a commercial developer had multiple building code violations and OSHA citations all within a few weeks, what would that trigger from an insurance compliance perspective? Interesting. And their carriers would be notified automatically? Through the state database, right? Makes sense. Just curious about the process. No specific case. Just trying to understand the system better for some consulting work I'm doing. When I hung up, Sandra was waiting. Well, automatic notifications go to all carriers. They'll review his policies, probably request updated documentation, and if they find inconsistencies between what he reported and what's actually happening, premium increases, at minimum. Possibly policy cancellations if they think he's been dishonest. Sandra's phone rang. She looked at the screen, then at me. Kimberly, answer it. She did. Put it on speaker. Our daughter's voice shrill with anger. Mom, what did you do? Roger says you're sabotaging his company. He says you stole documents and filed false complaints. Sandra's voice stayed calm. Kimberly, I never stole anything. I cleaned his offices. That's what he paid me to do. He says you took photos of confidential files. If I saw concerning information while doing my job, that's not theft. That's observation. You're trying to destroy him. He's under investigation. Do you know what that's doing to our finances? Honey, Sandra said gently, if his businesses can't withstand routine inspections, maybe the problem isn't the inspections. Kimberly's voice broke. I can't believe you do this. After everything he's done for you. After he gave you a job when nobody else would. The line went dead. Sandra set down the phone. Her hands were shaking. I pulled her close. She'll understand, someday. Will she? She will, when she sees who he really is. 2 days later, my phone rang. Unknown number. Mr. Coleman, this is Zachary Price. I think you need to know. Insurance adjusters just arrived. From Liberty Mutual. Roger's in his office with them now. He looks terrified. I smiled into the phone. Thank you, Zachary. This is very helpful. Mr. Coleman, what you're doing, it's working. Whatever it is, it's working. I've never seen Roger like this. Panicked, actually scared. Good, I said. That's exactly how he should feel. When I told Sandra, she came and stood behind my chair, her hands on my shoulders. It's really started, she said. It really has, I agreed. And we're just getting started. Over the next 3 weeks, Roger's world became a nightmare of small cuts, each one minor, each one legal, each one completely justified. But together they were lethal. Sandra and I watched from a distance like scientists observing an experiment. She tracked everything on her laptop, every inspection, every citation, every insurance filing. I made strategic calls, subtle mentions to the right people at the right times. The OSHA violations cost Roger $34,000 in fines, plus another $18,000 in required safety equipment and scaffolding upgrades. The building code issues delayed 2 major projects by 6 weeks each, costing him penalty payments to contractors and investors. But the real damage came from Liberty Mutual. I found out through Marcus, who heard it from someone in underwriting. Roger's insurance premiums were being increased by 40%. 40% on an $8 million portfolio. The notice arrived at Roger's office on a Wednesday. Zachary texted me. He's screaming through his phone at the wall. Erica's crying. Sandra looked up from her laptop. Is it wrong that I feel nothing? No, I said. He wouldn't feel anything if it was us. That evening we went to Stumptown Coffee, our little ritual, celebrating victories with expensive lattes we could barely afford. Frank, Sandra said carefully, he's lost over $70,000 already. The premium increase will cost him another $100,000 annually. Maybe that's enough. I thought about Sandra on her knees, about Roger's laugh, about she's only good for cleaning shoes. He made you clean his shoes, I said quietly. Filmed it. Mocked you. No, Sandra. This isn't enough. Not even close. She nodded slowly. Then what's next? We go bigger. The building code violations and OSHA citations were just the warm-up. Now we trigger a full insurance compliance audit. How? Through Veronica. She's a senior inspector at the Oregon Insurance Division. If I suggest that a company might have systemic compliance issues, incomplete disclosures, unreported incidents, documentation irregularities, she's obligated to investigate. And Roger has all of those. Based on what you photographed? Oh yes. He's been gaming the system for years, reporting just enough to stay legal, but hiding anything that might increase his premiums. Insurance companies hate that. They consider it fraud. Sandra pulled out her phone, scrolled through her photos. I have documentation of 3 unreported worker complaints. 2 settled quietly with cash and NDAs. Roger never disclosed them to his insurance carriers. Perfect. That's exactly what we need. I called Veronica the next morning. V, I need a professional consultation. Not a favor. This is legitimate compliance concern. Stanley Development Group. I've been reviewing their insurance documentation for a consulting project, and I'm seeing red flags. Unreported incidents. Possible material misrepresentation in their applications. Yes, I know that's serious. That's why I'm calling you. No, I can't be the official complainant. Conflict of interest. But if someone were to request a routine audit... Veronica was quiet for a long moment. Frank, a full compliance audit is extensive. It could destroy a small company if they find serious violations. Then they shouldn't have violated compliance standards. Another pause. You're sure about this? I've seen the documentation, V. This isn't personal. This is a company that's been lying to its carriers for years. They need to be audited. All right, I'll initiate a routine review. Should take about 6 weeks. Thank you, Vi. Frank, whatever this is really about, be careful. Always. I hung up. Sandra was watching from the kitchen doorway. 6 weeks, I said. And then Roger's world falls apart completely. But we didn't have to wait 6 weeks to see results. The announcement of an upcoming audit was enough. Insurance companies don't like uncertainty. When the Oregon Insurance Division announces they're auditing a client's compliance, carriers get nervous. Very nervous. Within a week, Travelers Insurance declined to renew 2 of Roger's policies. Hartford followed 3 days later with a 3rd policy cancellation. Without insurance, Roger couldn't get bank financing, couldn't sign new contracts, couldn't start new projects. His business ground to a halt. Zachary called on a Friday afternoon. Mr. Coleman, you need to hear this. Roger just had a screaming match with his lawyer in the lobby. He's convinced someone's targeting him deliberately. Keeps saying it can't be coincidence. Building codes, OSHA, insurance audits all at once. He thinks he has enemies. What did the lawyer say? That paranoia won't help his case. That if he'd been following regulations properly, none of this would be happening. Roger fired him on the spot. I smiled. Thank you, Zachary. That evening, Sandra and I sat in my workshop. She was reviewing files on her laptop. I was pretending to work on a watch, but really just enjoying the quiet satisfaction of watching our plan work. He hired a new insurance broker, Sandra said, reading an email she'd intercepted. Paying him $50,000 to try to find new carriers willing to take him on. Won't help. The audit findings will be public record. No reputable carrier will touch him until that's resolved. He's bleeding money. Good. Sandra closed her laptop, looked at me seriously. Frank, I need to know this isn't just about punishment, that there's a point to this. The point, I said carefully, is that Roger Stanley built his success on lies, shortcuts, and contempt for people he considered beneath him. We're not punishing him. We're just removing the scaffolding of deception that was holding up his empire. If it collapses, that's on him. That's very philosophical. That's very true. I set down the watch. He could have treated you with respect, could have given you a real job, paid you fairly, thanked you for helping Kimberly with the wedding. Instead, he humiliated you for sport. This isn't revenge, Sandra. It's consequence. She was quiet for a moment. Then she nodded. Okay. Then we see it through. All the way. My phone buzzed. Text from Zachary with a photo attached. The photo showed Roger through his office window. He was sitting at his desk, head in his hands, papers scattered everywhere. He looked smaller somehow, defeated. The text read, "Insurance company just left. He's been like this for an hour. Thought you'd want to know." I showed Sandra the photo. She studied it for a long moment. I watched her face, looking for regret, for sympathy. I saw neither. "How much has he lost so far?" she asked. "Between fines, penalties, increased premiums, legal fees, and lost contracts? Probably close to $250,000, and it's only going to get worse when the audit results come back." "Good," she said simply. That weekend we got an unexpected visitor. Saturday afternoon, doorbell ringing. I opened it to find our daughter standing on the porch. Kimberly. She'd been crying. Her eyes were red, makeup smudged. "Kimmy?" Sandra appeared behind me. "Honey, what's wrong?" Our daughter looked between us. When she spoke, her voice was small. "Can I come in? I need to talk to you. About Roger. About everything." Sandra and I exchanged a glance. "Of course," Sandra said. "Come in, sweetheart." Kimberly sat on our couch, Sandra beside her, me in the armchair across from them. "He's falling apart," Kimberly said quietly. "The business is collapsing. He's raging all the time, blaming everyone. Blaming me, he said. He said if it wasn't for our expensive wedding, if my parents hadn't drained him dry, he'd have money to fight all these inspections and audits." Sandra's jaw tightened. I said nothing. "He called you parasites," Kimberly continued, tears streaming. "Said you were dragging our family down, and I didn't defend you." I agreed with him. "I'm so sorry." Sandra pulled her close. "Shh. It's okay. It's not okay. You tried to warn me about him, both of you, and I chose him over you." I leaned forward. "Kimmy, you didn't choose him over us. You chose the life you thought you wanted. There's a difference." She looked at me with devastated eyes. I was so wrong. "Stay here tonight," Sandra said firmly. "In your old room. Get some sleep. We'll figure out the rest tomorrow." After Kimberly went upstairs, Sandra and I sat in the quiet living room. "She's leaving him," Sandra said. "Looks like it. Do we tell her about what we've been doing?" I thought about that. No, not yet. Let her come to her own conclusions about Roger. If she finds out we orchestrated his downfall, it might push her back to him, make her feel like she has to choose sides. So we just keep going? We keep going. Finish what we started, but now we have one more reason, getting our daughter back. Sandra rested her head on my shoulder. "I miss her." "Me too. But she's home now. That's what matters." My phone buzzed one more time that night. Another text from Zachary. "Mr. Coleman, it's time. I'm ready to testify whenever you need me. About what I saw, about your watch, about everything. Just say when." I typed back. "Soon. Thank you for being patient." I showed the message to Sandra. She smiled. Not her warm librarian smile, the cold, sharp one that meant business. "He has no idea," she said. "No," I agreed. "He really doesn't." Kimberly stayed with us for 3 days. I watched my daughter slowly come back to herself, sleeping without nightmares, eating without tension, laughing at Sandra's terrible jokes over breakfast. On the 3rd morning, she sat with us at the kitchen table. "He's calling constantly," she said, staring at her silent phone. 15 times yesterday. Voicemails saying he needs me, that we can work through this, that his business problems aren't his fault." "Whose fault does he say they are?" I asked. She looked at me. Yours and Mom's. He says you sabotaged him, that Mom stole documents, that you've been making malicious complaints to regulators." Sandra's hand tightened around her coffee cup. I covered it with mine. "Do you believe him?" I asked quietly. Kimberly was silent for a long moment. 2 months ago I would have, but now? Now I see how he talks about people, how he talked about you, and I'm ashamed it took me this long. "Don't be," Sandra said gently. You loved him. Love makes us blind sometimes. I thought he was ambitious, driven. Now I see he's just cruel. Kimberly wiped her eyes. When you came to his office that day, Dad, when you gave your watch to the security guard, I didn't understand. Roger was furious, kept ranting about it, said you were senile, that you'd thrown away your only valuable possession for no reason. But there was a reason, wasn't there? I nodded slowly. There was. Will you tell me? Someday, when this is over. I squeezed Sandra's hand. For now, just know that your mother and I are handling things, and that you're safe here. My phone rang that afternoon. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Frank Coleman. Frank? Roger's voice, strained, trying for friendly. I'm glad I caught you. Listen, I know things have been tense between us. I wanted to apologize for how I treated Sandra, for some things I said. I said nothing. Let the silence stretch. The thing is, he continued, I'm having some trouble with insurance issues, regulatory things, and you know that world better than anyone. I thought maybe we could meet. Talk. I'd really value your expertise. Would you? Yes, please. I'll buy you lunch, anywhere you want. I thought about it. Sandra was watching me, one eyebrow raised in question. I nodded to her. All right, Roger. Tomorrow. Giorgio's on Morrison Street. Noon. Thank you, Frank. Really, thank you. I hung up. Sandra came to stand beside me. He's desperate, she said. He's terrified. The audit letter must have arrived. Are you going to help him? I smiled. Oh, I'm going to meet him. Whether that helps him or not, we'll see. The next day I arrived at Giorgio's 5 minutes early. Roger was already there, sitting at a corner table, looking diminished somehow. His expensive suit hung a bit loose, dark circles under his eyes. He stood when he saw me, forced smile. Frank, thanks for coming. We sat, ordered, made pointless small talk about the weather, the restaurant. Finally, after the waiter left, Roger leaned forward. I need your help, Frank. Someone is targeting my business. The building code violations, OSHA inspections, insurance audits, it's all happening at once. Too coordinated to be coincidence. You think someone has a vendetta against you? I know it, and I think maybe it's related to what happened with Sandra. Maybe she mentioned something to someone, and they're coming after me. I sipped my water. What did happen with Sandra, Roger? He shifted uncomfortably. I may have been overly harsh. The job wasn't a good fit. You made her polish your shoes. His face flushed. I didn't mean... Frank, I'm trying to apologize here. No, you're trying to get my help. There's a difference. I set down my glass. You want to know about insurance problems? I'll tell you. The industry runs on trust and accurate information. When a company consistently provides incomplete disclosures, underreports incidents, optimizes paperwork to avoid higher premiums, that trust breaks down. I haven't done anything illegal. No, just dishonest. There's a difference there, too. I leaned back. Here's the thing about bureaucratic systems, Roger. They seem automatic, impersonal, but they're run by people. People who notice patterns, people who talk to each other, people who remember who plays fair and who doesn't. He stared at me. Are you saying you... I'm saying that when you build a business on shortcuts and half-truths, eventually someone looks closer. And when they do, everything unravels. Not because anyone's out to get you, because you were never as solid as you pretended to be. But you know people. You could make calls, explain what? That you're actually a great guy who just happened to underreport worker safety incidents? That the discrepancies in your insurance applications were honest mistakes? I stood up. Roger, I can't help you. Not because I won't, because there's nothing to help with. You did this to yourself. His voice rose. This is about Sandra, isn't it? You're punishing me. People were looking now. I kept my voice level. I'm not punishing you, Roger. I'm just not saving you. There's a difference there, too. I left him at the table, walked out into the cold afternoon, feeling lighter than I had in months. Sandra was waiting at home. She took one look at my face and smiled. How did it go? He knows someone's been orchestrating things. He's just not sure who. When will he figure it out? Soon, I said. Very soon. That evening, my phone buzzed. Text from Veronica Sims. Audit complete. Report going out tomorrow. It's bad, Frank. Really bad. Multiple material misrepresentations. I have to notify all carriers. I showed Sandra. She read it, nodded. This is it, then. This is it. We sat together on the porch, watching the sun set over Portland. Somewhere across the city, Roger's world was about to end, and I felt nothing. No guilt, no regret, just the quiet satisfaction of watching consequences finally catch up to someone who'd earned them. Do you think he'll ever understand? Sandra asked. That he did this to himself? Maybe. But he'll probably die believing he was targeted by enemies. Will you tell him? Ever? I thought about that. If he asks. If he really wants to know. I'll tell him exactly what I did, which was make sure the proper authorities knew about his violations. Everything else? That was just the system working the way it's supposed to. Sandra rested her head on my shoulder. Our daughter's coming back to herself. She is. Was it worth it? I thought about Sandra on her knees, about Kimberly's tears, about Roger's smug face. Every second. My phone rang again. Zachary this time. Mr. Coleman, you need to know. Erica just came down to show Roger a letter from the Oregon Insurance Division. He went white, then red. Then he started shouting. I've never seen him like this. He's scared, Mr. Coleman. Really scared. Thank you, Zachary. Sir, whatever you did, thank you. For everything. I hung up and told Sandra. She smiled that cold, sharp smile I'd come to love. Tomorrow, she said, he'll come here. How do you know? Because he's desperate, and desperate men always go to the people they've wronged. Hoping for mercy, she looked at me. Will you give him any? I thought about my Rolex sitting in Zachary's desk drawer, about Sandra crying in our bedroom after her first week at Roger's company, about our daughter who'd stopped calling because her husband said we were embarrassing. No, I said, I don't think I will. The audit results went public the next morning. I didn't need to see them. Veronica had already warned me, but I read the official report anyway, downloaded from the Oregon Insurance Division website. Stanley Development Group had systematically provided incomplete information to insurance carriers for 5 years, unreported incidents, understated project values, minimized risk assessments, each violation minor on its own. Together, they painted a picture of deliberate fraud. The recommendation was clear. All insurance providers should be notified immediately. Roger's policies would be reviewed for potential voidance based on material misrepresentation. Sandra read it over my shoulder. How long before the insurance companies respond? Already happening. Veronica says Liberty Mutual pulled his remaining policies this morning. The others will follow by end of day. And without insurance, no bank will finance him. No contractor will work with him. No project can move forward. I closed the laptop. His business is effectively dead. Good. Kimberly came downstairs, saw our faces. It happened? It happened, Sandra confirmed. Our daughter sat down heavily. He's going to lose everything. He already has, I said gently. He just doesn't know it yet. Will he blame me? He'll blame everyone but himself. That's who he is. She nodded slowly. I need to talk to a lawyer. About divorce. About protecting what I can. I know someone, I said. Russell Garcia, family law specialist. He's good. Will he see me today? I was already dialing. 3 hours later, I drove Kimberly to Russell's office downtown. Sandra came too. Moral support. We sat in the waiting room while Kimberly met with him. She emerged an hour later, pale but determined. He says most assets are in the company name, which means they're going to be seized when Roger files bankruptcy. But there's about $85,000 in our joint personal account. I can claim half of that. $42,000 isn't much, Sandra said carefully. It's more than I had when I married him, and this time I'll actually earn whatever comes next. Kimberly managed a weak smile. Russell's filing divorce papers tomorrow. Irreconcilable differences. We drove home in silence. As we pulled into our driveway, Sandra's phone rang. It's Zachary, she said, putting it on speaker. Mrs. Coleman, Mr. Coleman. Roger just left the office. He looked destroyed. Erica told him the banks are calling in their lines of credit. $3.8 million. He has 30 days to repay, or they seize everything. Where did he go? I asked. I don't know. But he was muttering about talking to you, about making you understand. Thanks, Zachary. We sat in the car for a moment. He's coming here, Sandra said. Let him come. We didn't have to wait long. 20 minutes later, a car pulled up. Roger got out, walked to our door. He looked like he'd aged 10 years in a week. I opened the door before he could knock. Roger? Frank, I need to talk to you. Please, it's important. I stepped aside. Let him in. He saw Kimberly on the couch, started toward her. Kim, thank God you're here. We need to talk about... No, she said quietly. We don't. He stopped. Looked between us. His eyes landed on me. Frank, someone has destroyed my business. Someone with connections, with knowledge of insurance regulations, with access to the Oregon Insurance Division. Someone who knows exactly how to trigger audits and inspections. His voice shook. It's too perfect to be accidental. Someone planned this. I said nothing, just waited. Was it you? He asked directly. Did you do this? Sandra stood, came to stand beside me, united front. I met his eyes. Do you remember what you said when I came to your office? When I found Sandra on her knees, polishing your shoes? His face went white. Frank, you said she was only good for cleaning shoes, that she was only capable of serving real people. I felt Sandra's hand slip into mine. You humiliated my wife, filmed it, mocked her for your entertainment, and you thought there would be no consequences because we're old. Because we're not wealthy? Because we're beneath you. I apologized. No, you asked for help. There's a difference. I squeezed Sandra's hand. You want to know if I destroyed your business, Roger? I'll tell you exactly what I did. I made sure the proper regulatory authorities were aware of violations that already existed. I ensured that complaints were filed through appropriate channels. I verified that safety inspections happened on sites where they were needed. His eyes widened. You orchestrated all of it. I made sure the system worked the way it's supposed to. If your business couldn't survive basic compliance reviews, that's not my fault. That's yours. But you knew. You knew what would happen. Sandra spoke for the first time, her voice ice cold. You knew what would happen when you humiliated me. You chose to do it anyway. We chose to respond. Everyone makes choices, Roger. This is what yours cost. Kimberly, he turned to her, desperate. Tell them this is insane. They destroyed everything we built. You destroyed it, she said quietly, by lying, by cutting corners, by treating people like garbage. Mom and Dad just let everyone see what was already there. He fell to his knees, actually knelt in our living room, the same way he'd made Sandra kneel in his office. Frank, please, I'm begging you. I'll lose everything, my company, my reputation, my money, everything. You have to help me. I looked down at him, felt nothing. Roger, I said slowly, carefully, I need to tell you something. I'm not just a retired insurance adjuster. For the last 15 years, I've worked as an advisor to the Oregon Insurance Division. I consult on compliance audits, fraud investigations, regulatory protocol. Every major insurance review in this state crosses my desk at some point. The color drained from his face. You... what? I didn't initiate the audits against you. I didn't need to. But I made sure they happened, according to proper procedure. I ensured the right people looked at the right documents at the right times. Everything legal, everything justified, everything deserved. He stared at me in horror. Understanding finally dawning. He hadn't been destroyed by bad luck or enemies. He'd been methodically dismantled by someone who knew exactly how the system worked. Someone he'd dismissed as weak. You can't do this, he whispered. It's personal. It's revenge. I'll fight it. I'll hire lawyers. I'll prove you targeted me. Try, I said simply. Spend your last dollars on lawyers who'll tell you the same thing I'm telling you now. I followed every rule, every regulation, every protocol. I didn't fabricate anything. I didn't lie. I just made sure the truth came out. Sandra stepped forward. You made me clean your shoes, Roger. You filmed it to humiliate me. You thought we'd just take it because we needed money, because we're old, because you had power and we didn't. Her voice was steel. But power isn't just money. It's knowledge, connections, patience, and we had all of that. We just chose not to use it until you gave us a reason. Roger stood slowly, swaying. looked at each of us. Our daughter wouldn't meet his eyes. "This isn't over," he said, voice shaking. "I'll find a way. I'll rebuild. No," I interrupted. You won't. Your insurance licenses will be flagged for fraud. No legitimate carrier will touch you for 10 years minimum. Without insurance, you can't build, can't develop, can't operate. And even if you could, who would trust you? This audit is public record, Roger. Everyone will know you lied to your carriers. Your reputation is destroyed. I'll tell everyone what you did. I'll expose you. Tell them, Sandra said calmly. Tell them that a 68-year-old retiree and his librarian wife outsmarted you, using nothing but paperwork and patience. I'm sure that'll help your reputation tremendously. He looked between us, finally seeing us clearly for the first time. Not weak, not poor, not old and irrelevant. Dangerous, strategic, united. He left without another word. After the door closed, the three of us sat in silence. Kimberly spoke first. Is it wrong that I'm not sorry for him? No, Sandra said gently. It's just clear-sighted. Will he really lose everything? I nodded. The bankruptcy will be filed within a month, maybe sooner. The assets will be auctioned. He'll be left with debt and no way to pay it. And us? We'll be fine, Sandra assured her. We always are. My phone buzzed. Text from Zachary. He's back at the office, packing his things. Security says he has 2 hours to clear out. Mr. Coleman, I wanted you to know. I'm returning your watch tomorrow. You were right. The time came. Justice happened. Thank you for trusting me with it. I showed Sandra. She read it and smiled. Justice, she repeated. That's exactly what this is. That night, we sat in my workshop. Sandra at the desk with her laptop, me pretending to work on a watch, but really just enjoying the quiet peace of a plan completed. Do you regret any of it? Sandra asked. No. You? Not even a little? She closed her laptop. Frank, what we did, it was brutal. It was fair. Was it? I thought about that. He built his success on lies, on exploitation, on treating people like they didn't matter. All we did was remove the scaffolding he'd built those lies on. What collapsed was his own doing. 42 years, Sandra said quietly. 42 years we've been married. I've never seen you like this. So cold. Only toward him, never toward you. She came to stand behind my chair, wrapped her arms around me. I know, and I love you for it. For protecting me, for standing up when I couldn't. You stood up too, I reminded her. You gathered the evidence, made the plans. You were just as cold as I was. We make a good team. The best team, I agreed. She kissed the top of my head. What happens now? Now? Now we wait for him to finish falling, and then we get on with our lives. And Kimberly? Kimberly starts over, stronger this time, wiser. Sandra was quiet for a moment. Do you think Roger will ever understand what he did wrong? No, I said honestly. Men like him never do. He'll convince himself he was sabotaged by jealous people, that his only crime was success. He'll die believing he was the victim. And you're okay with that? I'm okay with him being gone from our lives. What he believes doesn't matter anymore. My phone lit up one more time. News alert. Stanley Development Group files. Chapter 11. Bankruptcy. Creditors seek $4.2 million. I showed Sandra. $4.2 million, she read. More than we thought. He mortgaged everything trying to fight this. Made it worse. Good. We sat there in the workshop, surrounded by old watches and older memories, and waited for tomorrow to come. The war was over. We'd won. And it felt exactly like justice should feel. Cold. Fair. Inevitable. Roger hired 3 different law firms over the next 2 weeks. I know because Veronica kept me informed. Not because she was conspiring with me, but because Roger's lawyers kept filing complaints against the Oregon Insurance Division, claiming bias, procedural errors, personal vendetta. Every complaint was investigated. Every single one came back clean, because everything I'd done was legitimate. Every audit, every inspection, every regulation followed to the letter. Sandra and I sat at the kitchen table, reading the dismissal of Roger's 3rd complaint. His lawyers had argued that my personal relationship with Roger created a conflict of interest. What did the review board say? Sandra asked. That I disclosed the relationship from the beginning. that I recused myself from direct oversight of his case, that all decisions were made by independent inspectors. I closed my laptop, exactly as we planned. He's spent how much on lawyers now? 80,000, maybe more. She shook her head. Money he doesn't have. Money he's borrowing against assets he's about to lose. I reached across the table, took her hand. It's almost over, Sandra. Almost. She squeezed my fingers. Kimberly signed the divorce papers yesterday. Russell filed them this morning. How is she? Relieved. Sad. But relieved. Sandra smiled slightly. She asked me something interesting yesterday. What? She asked if I felt guilty about what we did to Roger. I waited. I told her no, Sandra continued. I told her we didn't do anything to Roger. We just stopped protecting him from the consequences of his own actions. There's a difference. What did she say? She said she understood, and that she was proud of us. Sandra's eyes glistened. Our daughter is proud of us, Frank. I had to look away for a moment. 42 years of marriage, and Sandra could still make me emotional with just a few words. My phone rang. Zachary. Mr. Coleman, the bankruptcy trustee is here. They're inventorying everything. Roger's in his office with the door locked. Security had to tell him 3 times that he has to leave. He keeps saying he owns the building. He doesn't, I said. Not anymore. The bank foreclosed this morning. I know. I just thought you'd want to know what's happening. The end. Thank you, Zachary, for everything. No, sir. Thank you. I hung up and told Sandra. She stood. Let's go for a drive. We took the long way through Portland, past the Pearl District, down to the waterfront, ended up at our coffee shop on 3rd Avenue, our ritual spot for celebrating victories. We sat by the window with expensive lattes. Do you remember what you said the day this started? Sandra asked. In the car, after you took me out of his office, I said we'd started a war, and that he'd lose. She sipped her coffee. You were right. We were right, I corrected. This was both of us, Sandra. Every step. I photographed documents, and I made calls. Equal partners. She smiled. Equal partners. 2 days later, Russell Garcia called with news. The divorce was final. Roger hadn't even shown up to the hearing. His lawyers withdrew, citing non-payment of fees. The judge granted Kimberly everything she'd requested, which wasn't much. The house was gone. The cars were gone. Everything tied to Roger's business, gone. But Kimberly walked away with $42,500 from their joint account, and her freedom. She wants to have dinner with you both, Russell said, to say thank you. For what? I asked. For protecting her, even when she didn't know she needed protecting. We met Kimberly at a small Italian place near our house. She looked different, lighter somehow, despite everything. She'd cut her hair, was wearing jeans and a simple sweater, instead of the expensive designer clothes Roger had insisted on. Hi, Dad. Mom. She hugged us both, held on tight. Over dinner, she told us her plans. She'd found a job, marketing director at a local tech startup. $65,000 a year to start, with equity options. She'd rented a small apartment in southeast Portland. It's nothing fancy, she said, but it's mine. Sandra reached across the table, covered Kimberly's hand with hers. We're proud of you, sweetheart. I should be saying that to you. Kimberly looked at me. Dad, I know what you did, what you both did. Roger told me before the end he was ranting about how you'd destroyed him, how you'd orchestrated everything. I set down my fork. Kimberly, I'm glad, she interrupted me. I'm glad you did it, because he would have kept going, kept treating people like garbage, kept hurting everyone around him. Be able to treat people the way he treated people, 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 the way he treated treated people, the way he 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 be able to treat people the way he treated us. I know, Kimberly's eyes filled with tears, and I'm sorry it took me so long to see what he was. I'm sorry I chose him over you. You didn't choose him over us, I said firmly. You chose the life you thought you wanted. You're allowed to make mistakes, Kimmy. You're allowed to change your mind. She wiped her eyes. What happened to him? Roger? Where did he go? I'd been tracking this through various sources. Idaho. Boise. He's managing a hardware store, living in a rented studio apartment. His father refused to help him. Told him he'd made his own bed. Does he know that you were behind it all? He knows someone with insurance expertise systematically exposed his violations. Whether he's accepted that it was me? I shrugged. Probably not. Men like Roger never really accept responsibility. Good, Kimberly said quietly. He doesn't deserve closure. That night, Sandra and I sat on our porch. The same porch where this had all started, where we'd planned our response, where we'd built our strategy, brick by careful brick. It's really over, Sandra said. It really is. Do you feel different? I thought about that. No, I feel like me, like us, like we handled something that needed handling, and now it's done. No regrets? None? You? Not a single one. She leaned her head on my shoulder. Frank Coleman, in 42 years of marriage, I've never seen you fight like that. I've never had to. But for you, I'd do it again in a heartbeat. I know you would. She kissed my cheek. That's why I love you. My phone buzzed. Email notification. I opened it, read, then showed Sandra. Pacific Insurance Group wants you back, she read. Part-time consultant. $120,000 a year? Apparently word got around about my role in the Stanley Development audit. They want someone who knows compliance inside and out. Are you going to take it? I don't know. What do you think? Sandra was quiet for a moment. I think you should do what makes you happy. We don't need the money anymore. Kimberly's independent. We've got our pensions. But if you want to work, if it gives you purpose, I'll think about it. She nodded. Whatever you decide, we'll do it together. Like always. Like always, I agreed. I took the job. Turned out, destroying Roger's business had been the best resume builder I could have asked for. Pacific Insurance Group didn't want someone who'd bend the rules. They wanted someone who knew the rules so well that nothing slipped through. I started in early December, working from home 3 days a week, going into the office 2 days. The work was interesting, challenging, made me feel useful again. Sandra, meanwhile, had discovered her own calling. Her genealogy research hobby turned into a small consulting business. People would hire her to trace their family trees, find lost relatives, research their heritage. She charged $150 an hour and had more clients than she could handle. I'm making $3,000 a month doing something I love, she told me one evening, showing me her client list. At 64, who knew retirement could be so profitable? You're not retired, I corrected. You're reinvented. So are you. She was right. We both were. Kimberly came over twice a week for dinner. She'd thrown herself into her new job, was thriving in ways I'd never seen. The tech startup valued her ideas, gave her autonomy, treated her like a professional. I got a promotion, she announced one evening in late December. Senior Director of Marketing, $85,000 base plus 15% bonus potential. Sandra hugged her. That's wonderful, honey. And, Kimberly smiled shyly, I've been seeing someone. Nothing serious yet, but he's nice. An engineer at the company. His name is Michael. Tell us about him, Sandra urged. As Kimberly talked about her new boyfriend, I watched my daughter's face. She was animated, happy, free. This was the girl we'd raised, the woman she was meant to be before Roger had tried to reshape her. Later, after Kimberly left, I got a text from Zachary Price. "Mr. Coleman, I wanted you to know. I'm starting a new job next week, security director at the Powell Building downtown. Better pay, better benefits. They asked me how I handled a difficult situation once. I told them about you, about what I learned watching you. They hired me on the spot. Thank you for everything." ZP. I showed Sandra. She smiled. "You started a ripple effect." "We started it," I reminded her. That weekend, Zachary stopped by our house. He'd called ahead, said he had something for me. He arrived at noon carrying a small box. "Mr. Coleman, Mrs. Coleman," he greeted us formally. "I wanted to return this in person." He opened the box. Inside was my Rolex, polished and gleaming. I took it carefully, felt the familiar weight. "I've kept it safe," Zachary said. "Like you asked. I documented everything that day. The date, the time, what I saw. I wrote it all down and had it notarized, in case you ever needed it." "Thank you, Zachary, but I don't think I'll need it." "I didn't think so either, but I wanted you to have the documentation anyway. Proof." After he left, I sat in my workshop with the watch. The Rolex Submariner, $45,000, gifted to me 4 decades ago. I'd given it away without hesitation to protect Sandra's dignity, and now I had it back. I started cleaning it, checking the mechanisms. The watch had stopped, needed winding, adjusting. I worked carefully, methodically, losing myself in the precision of the tiny gears. Sandra found me there hours later. "How's it looking?" she asked. "Perfect. Just needed some care." I held it up. "Good as new." "Like us," she said softly. "Like us," I agreed. The next day I went to the downtown office for a meeting. Afterwards, I stopped at Stumptown Coffee, our place. I was sitting by the window when I saw him. Roger, walking past on the street. He looked older, thinner, worn down. He was carrying 2 grocery bags, walking with his head down. He didn't see me, just kept walking. I watched him disappear into the Portland afternoon and felt nothing. No triumph, no satisfaction, no regret. Just the simple recognition that justice had been served. I finished my coffee and went home. That evening was Christmas Eve. Kimberly came over with her new boyfriend, Michael. He was quiet, polite, clearly nervous about meeting the parents, but he held doors for Kimberly, listened when she talked, laughed at her jokes. Sandra made dinner, her famous pot roast, the one she'd been making for 42 years. We ate together at our old kitchen table, the same table where Sandra and I had planned our response to Roger all those months ago. After dinner, Michael helped with dishes, while Kimberly, Sandra, and I sat in the living room. "I have something for you both," Kimberly said. She pulled out a small wrapped box. "Early Christmas present?" Sandra opened it. Inside was a framed photo, one I'd never seen before. It was from Kimberly's childhood, maybe age 7. She was between Sandra and me, all of us laughing at something outside the frame. "I found it when I was packing up the house," Kimberly explained. "Roger wanted me to throw away all the old photos. Said they didn't fit our new aesthetic. I kept this one hidden. And now," she wiped her eyes, "now I'm glad I did, because it reminds me of what family really means." Sandra was crying. I might have been too. Later, after Kimberly and Michael left, Sandra and I sat by the fireplace. I'd built a fire, something I hadn't done in years. On the mantel was the Rolex, restored and keeping perfect time again. Sandra followed my gaze. $45,000. "You gave it away without blinking?" "I'd do it again." "I know." She moved closer, rested her head on my shoulder. "We did it, Frank. We stood up for ourselves. We protected our daughter. We made it through. Together," I said. "Always together." 42 years, she murmured, and counting. I kissed the top of her head, and counting. We sat there in comfortable silence, watching the fire, holding hands the way we'd been doing for 4 decades. Roger had tried to break us, to humiliate us, to make us feel worthless because we were older, because we weren't wealthy, because we didn't fit his definition of success. Instead, he'd reminded us of exactly how strong we were. Not individually, together. Sandra squeezed my hand. I squeezed back, no words needed. After 42 years, we spoke a language that transcended words. The fire crackled. The old house settled around us. Our daughter was safe. Our love was intact. Justice had been served, not through revenge, through patience, through knowledge, through understanding that the system works if you know how to work it, and through the unbreakable partnership of two people who'd spent 42 years learning how to be a team. I looked at Sandra in the firelight. She was beautiful, still beautiful after all these years. "I love you," I said. "I love you too," she replied, "now and always." We sat there until the fire burned low, two people who'd faced down someone who thought age meant weakness, who thought money meant power, who thought he could treat people like garbage without consequence. He'd learned differently. We'd taught him. Together. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.